Today I'll be showcasing a handful of techniques that I utilize to make Lego trees sturdier, simpler, and with more foliage. I've broken these techniques into 3 groups, and I'll demonstrate the techniques with a couple examples. I always built my trees using square trunks, like is done in most Lego sets that have trees. In addition to not really looking like trees, the trunks were extremely fragile and would often break off at the base. To remedy this, I added snot connections and connected the upper trunk to the lower trunk using a long plate. This added more stability, but didn't add to the beauty of the tree. In my new trunk design, I purchased some round 2x2 bricks to resolve the square tree problem, and this helped me solve the problem with the weak trunk. I did this by implementing 2 different techniques. First, I added a 2x2 brick with the technique pin on the side to the bottom of the tree. I then connected this to the 1x2 brick on the side of the tree. This gave the trunk a 2x3 base instead of a 2x2, which greatly increased the bond to the base plate. To address the weakness, the length of the trunk, I added a technique axle, or a pipe or a rod also works, through the 2x2 round bricks, and into the 2x2 technique brick on the bottom. This adds a lot of stability to the trees, as now the bricks are connected not only using studs between each other, but also having a rod to keep them from separating. In standard Lego sets, leaves on most trees lay horizontal, instead of drooping on different angles like branches on a real tree would. In general, representing angles in Lego is tricky, but recently different options have become more available to enable us to do this. This first option I'll show you uses several pieces to get the up, down, left, right angles. Using a green hinge piece, I'm able to get about 180 degrees of rotation from the main branch. I then use a vertical hinge piece, here shown in gray and brown, to get the up, down angles on the same branch. Together, I'm able to get all the angles that I would need for a tree. However, a drawback of this technique is that the branches tend to be longer than they were before, which widens the diameter of the overall tree. Within the past year or so, Lego released another option for getting the up, down, left, right angles, and it's all in one piece. This small one stud with a horizontal bar on it has a rounded back which allows the stud to rotate in place. In addition, the bar allows a clamp to pivot up and down to implement the vertical angles. Together, this one piece fulfills the same role as the larger construction that I showed before. Because this piece has the rounded corners, there's a narrow space between all 4 of them that won't fit an axle, technique axle like we've used before, but it will fit a pipe to allow support to extend up and down a tree. Sadly, this piece has only been released in black and flesh color, so no brown to match the tree, but we'll work with what we have. Traditional Lego trees suffer from little foliage, perhaps to lower production cost? I don't really know why. I like my Lego trees to be bushy, which requires me to figure out ways to get more leaf pieces into a small area. To do this, I place one large piece on the bottom and connect other leaves to the outside 3 or 5 points, depending on where I'm putting it on the tree, and then I secure those pieces with another large piece on top, as shown here. This creates a much fuller tree section from a single branch, and it gives them a lot more stability as well. Since the diameter of trees generally gets smaller as they get taller, I also needed a way to have smaller branches with more leaves to them. To do this, I use the fact that large leaf pieces are longer than they are wide, and I put the leaf at an angle to the tree, as shown here. Here you can see the progression of the different styles of trees that I've made. They each have their pluses and minuses, but hopefully you'll agree that they all look better than the trees that Lego has put in their sets. Now when you go to make a Lego tree, don't worry about making the perfect tree, and instead try out a couple new building techniques that I've shown here, and use a building technique that fits the Legos that you have access to. And now I'd like to hear from you. Which of these techniques did you like best? Comment below and let me know your answer. And again, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.